My name is Julia, and I'm going to tell you about 10 days that should have killed me. Not quickly, not mercifully, but slowly, in the most horrifying way you can imagine. 10 days locked in absolute darkness with tens of thousands of cockroaches crawling over every inch of my body. 10 days without food. 10 days losing my mind. 10 days where I begged for death. But I'm standing here today, alive, sane, free. And the only reason I survived is because of a miracle that doctors, psychiatrists, and even my own family struggle to believe. Before I tell you what happened in that nightmare room, before I tell you how Jesus Christ pulled me back from the edge of insanity, you need to understand how a girl from Miami ended up as a Saudi princess, trapped in a palace that became my tomb. This is going to be hard to hear. I still have nightmares. I still wake up screaming, feeling them on my skin. But I'm telling this story because someone out there needs to hear it. Someone needs to know that even in the darkest pit, even when hope is gone, even when you're surrounded by absolute horror, God can still reach you. I grew up in Miami, in a Cuban-American family. My parents came from nothing. My dad worked 3 jobs. My mom cleaned houses. But they gave me everything. Love, support, and a faith in God that was as natural as breathing. Every Sunday at church, every night at dinner, every moment of crisis, we prayed. Jesus wasn't just a concept in my house, he was family. But when I turned 21, I wanted more than Miami could offer. I was beautiful. I'm not being arrogant, just honest. And I knew it could open doors. I moved to New York, got signed with a modeling agency, and suddenly I was walking runways, doing photo shoots, living the glamorous life I'd seen in magazines. And slowly, prayer became less frequent. Church became something I did when I visited home. God became someone I'd get back to later, when life calmed down. I met Prince Faisal at a fashion show in Paris. He was in the front row, and I could feel his eyes on me the entire time I was on the runway. After the show, he sent his assistant to invite me to dinner. 1 dinner became 2. 2 became a week in Monaco. A week became a whirlwind romance across 3 continents. He was everything: handsome, educated, charming, wealthy beyond imagination. He spoke 5 languages, quoted poetry, made me feel like the most important person in the world. "Marry me," he said one night in Dubai, presenting me with a ring that cost more than most people's houses. "Be my princess. Rule by my side." I called my mother, practically screaming with joy. "Mommy," he proposed. "I'm going to be a princess." There was a long pause. Then, "Julia, mi amor, are you sure? You barely know this man. And Saudi Arabia, it's not like here. Promise me you'll keep your Bible close. Promise me you won't forget who you are." "Mom, he's amazing. He's different from the stereotypes. He's modern, progressive. This is my fairy tale." She sighed. "Just remember, Mija, when things get dark, and they always do eventually, Jesus is the only light that never goes out. Don't forget that." I should have listened. The wedding was spectacular. $50 million. Every magazine covered it. I wore a dress with 10,000 hand-sewn crystals. I felt like I was living in a dream. For exactly 4 months, it was a dream. Faisal was attentive, romantic, generous. We had a palace that was more museum than home. Marble everywhere, gold fixtures, rooms I never even entered. I had staff that outnumbered a small company, jewels and colors I didn't know existed, cars I didn't know how to drive. But then, the dream started cracking. It began with small comments. "That dress is inappropriate, Julia. You need to dress more modestly." "Why were you smiling at that servant? It's disrespectful to me." "Your family calls too much. You need to focus on your duties here." Then the rules started. I couldn't leave the palace without his permission and a full security detail. I I couldn't post on social media anymore. He had my passwords changed. I couldn't video call my family without him listening in. When I complained, he got cold. Distant. "You're not in America anymore," he'd say. "You're a Saudi princess now. You have responsibilities, expectations." But I could live with cold and distant. What I couldn't live with was what came next. I found out through a servant, a young woman named Amira who'd been kind to me. She whispered to me one morning while helping me dress, "Princess, I'm so sorry, but you should know. The prince, he has another wife, in Riyadh. He married her 2 months ago." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What? That's impossible. We're married. He can't just—" Amira looked at me with pity. "Princess, this is allowed here. Men can have up to 4 wives. I thought you knew." I confronted Faisal that night, demanded the truth. He didn't even try to deny it. Just shrugged. "Yes, I married Layla. She's from a prominent family. It's a political alliance. What's the problem?" "The problem? You married someone else, while married to me. And this is perfectly legal here. You're overreacting. I want a divorce." The moment those words left my mouth, his expression changed. The mask fell away, and I saw something in his eyes that made my blood run cold. Pure rage. "You want a divorce?" He stood up slowly, walking toward me. "You want to embarrass me? Embarrass my family? Make me look weak in front of the entire kingdom?" "Faisal, His hand shot out and grabbed my throat. Not enough to choke me, but enough to terrify me. "You will never divorce me," he hissed, his face inches from mine. "You will smile, you will obey, and you will be grateful for everything I've given you. Do you understand?" I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. He released me, and I collapsed to the floor, gasping, "Now get out of my sight. I have business to attend to." That night, locked in my room, I did something I hadn't done since leaving Miami. I prayed. "Jesus, God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I walked away from you. I thought I could do this on my own. I thought I didn't need you. But I do. I need you so badly. Please, help me. Show me what to do. I wish I could tell you I felt immediate peace. I didn't. I felt alone, trapped, and terrified of what my life had become. But I kept praying. Every night. Whispered prayers in the darkness. And then everything got so much worse. 3 months passed. Faisal barely spoke to me unless we had public appearances. I was a prop. A beautiful Western trophy wife to parade around when it suited him. I started planning my escape. Secretly. Carefully. I befriended one of the guards, a young man named Omar who had family in America. I offered him money, promised him more when we got to the U.S. Embassy. He agreed to help. The plan was simple. During the prince's trip to Abu Dhabi, Omar would smuggle me out in a delivery truck. We'd drive straight to the embassy. Once I was there, they couldn't touch me. The night came. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. I packed a small bag, just essentials and my mother's Bible, the one thing I'd kept from home. Omar led me through the servants' corridors, toward the delivery entrance. We were 10 feet from the truck when the lights came on. Guards everywhere. At least 20 of them. And Faisal, standing in the center, smiling. "Did you really think I didn't know?" he asked calmly. "Did you think Omar was loyal to you?" I looked at Omar. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Faisal walked toward me slowly. Trying to escape. Trying to embarrass me. Trying to make me look like a fool who can't control his own wife. "Faisal, please. I've been very patient with you, Julia. Very tolerant of your Western attitudes. But this? He shook his head. This requires correction. He turned to his guards. Take her to the room. What room? Faisal, what are you? You need time to think, to reflect on your behavior, to remember your place. They grabbed me. I fought, screaming, begging. But there were too many of them. They dragged me through corridors I'd never seen, down stairs that went deeper and deeper into the palace. Finally, we stopped in front of a heavy metal door. This room hasn't been used in 50 years, Faisal said conversationally. My grandfather used it for discipline. I never thought I'd need it, but you've given me no choice. They opened the door. The smell hit me first. Musty, rotten, like something had died a long time ago. Then I saw the room. Small. Maybe 8 feet by 8 feet. No windows. Bare concrete walls. A drain in the center of the floor. And covering every surface. The floor, the walls, even the ceiling. Cockroaches. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. Moving, crawling, scuttling over each other. No, I screamed. Please, please, anything but this. Faisal, please. 10 days, he said calmly. 10 days in here, and maybe you'll learn respect. Maybe you'll learn gratitude. Maybe you'll learn that you belong to me, and there is no escape. They shoved me inside. The door slammed shut, and the darkness was absolute. I can't fully describe what it was like in there. The moment the door closed, I felt them. Immediately. Crawling up my legs, over my arms, in my hair. I screamed. God. I screamed until my throat was raw. I tried to stand in the center of the room, away from the walls. But they were everywhere. The floor was a moving carpet of them. Every step crushed dozens, making horrible crunching sounds, and more just kept coming. I could hear them. The clicking, the rustling, the sound of millions of tiny legs moving over concrete and over each other. I tried to brush them off, but for every one I removed, 5 more took its place. When I opened my mouth to scream, they tried to crawl inside. The first day, I didn't sleep. Couldn't sleep. I stood there in the darkness, sobbing, brushing cockroaches off myself over and over and over. By the second day, I was exhausted. My legs were shaking. I had to sit down. The moment I sat, they swarmed. Over my legs, my back, my arms. I felt them in my clothes, crawling against my skin. I tried to pray. Jesus, please, make it stop. Please. But the words felt hollow, empty, like they were being swallowed by the darkness. By the 3rd day, I started to hallucinate. The lack of light, the lack of food, the constant sensation of things crawling on me. My mind started to break. I thought I saw my mother standing in the corner. Mommy, I whispered. Mommy, help me. But when I reached out, there was nothing. Just more cockroaches. I started talking to myself. Then arguing with myself. Then laughing at things that weren't funny. I could feel my sanity slipping away like water through my fingers. I'm going to die in here, I said out loud. I'm going to go insane and die, and no one will ever know. No one will ever find me. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to die. I prayed for death, begged for it. God, if you're there, just let me die. Please. I can't take this anymore. Just let it end. But death didn't come. The darkness continued. The cockroaches continued. The horror continued. Day 5, or maybe 6. I'd lost track of time. I was lying on the floor now, too weak to stand. I hadn't eaten in days. Hadn't had water except for what dripped from a pipe in the corner. Water I had to fight the cockroaches for. They were in my clothes now. Inside my dress, against my skin, and I was too exhausted to even brush them away anymore. I could feel them in my hair, crawling across my face, over my lips. My mind was gone. I was seeing things that weren't there, hearing voices, having full conversations with people who didn't exist. At some point, I started screaming again. Not words, just screaming. Raw, primal sounds of a mind that had shattered. And then I remembered something. My bag. The small bag I'd been carrying when they threw me in here. I'd dropped it when I fell. Was it still here? I crawled across the floor, cockroaches crunching beneath me, my hands searching in the absolute darkness. And I found it. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Inside, my mother's Bible. I pulled it out, held it against my chest, and something inside me that had been broken, cracked open in a different way. I started to cry. Not tears of despair this time. Tears of, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm sorry, I whispered into the darkness. Jesus, I'm so sorry. I forgot you. I walked away. I thought I didn't need you. I thought I could do life on my own. And look where I am. Look what I've become. I opened the Bible. I couldn't see the words. It was pitch black. But my fingers traced the pages, and I remembered verses from childhood. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. My voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. I will fear no evil. Cockroaches crawled over my hands, over the Bible, but I kept going. For you are with me. And then, I felt it. Warmth, in the center of my chest. Small at first, like a candle flame. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. The warmth grew. Spread. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. My voice grew stronger. You anoint my head with oil. The warmth filled my entire body now. My cup overflows. And I swear on everything I hold sacred, the cockroaches moved. Not all of them. But the ones on me, on the Bible, they backed away. I kept praying, kept reciting every verse I could remember. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The darkness didn't physically change. It was still pitch black. But somehow, it felt less oppressive. The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? I sat up. Still weak, still exhausted, still surrounded by horror. But no longer drowning in despair. For the first time in days, I felt hope. I don't know if it was day 7 or day 8 when I heard the sounds. Shouting, running, metal clanging. The door burst open, and light flooded in. I screamed. The light was agony after so many days in darkness. I covered my eyes, tried to crawl backward. Julia! Oh my God, Julia! That voice. I knew that voice. Mommy? Arms wrapped around me. My mother's arms. She was crying, screaming my name, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. We found you, baby. We found you. You're safe now. You're safe. Behind her I could see men in suits, embassy officials, police, cameras. How? I couldn't form complete sentences. How did you? Your friend Amira, my mother sobbed. She got word to us, told us everything. The U.S. government put pressure on them. They had to let us in. Oh, my baby, what did they do to you? They carried me out of that room. I couldn't walk, could barely see. My body was covered in bites, scratches, infection. As they carried me up the stairs, I caught a glimpse of Faisal being held by security. His face was white with rage, but also fear. He knew he'd gone too far. The international community knew now. I spent 3 weeks in a hospital. The doctor said it was a miracle I survived. That 10 days without food, with minimal water, in those conditions. They'd seen people lose their minds permanently in less time. Her vitals should have crashed, one doctor told my mother. The infection alone should have killed her. The dehydration, the psychological trauma. She shouldn't be here. She definitely shouldn't be functioning, but I was. Against all medical odds, my mind was intact. Traumatized, yes. Damaged, yes. But not broken beyond repair. One night in the hospital, a psychiatrist came to evaluate me. "Julia," she said gently, "can you tell me how you survived? What kept you going in there?" I thought about lying, about giving her a medical answer she could write in her report. But instead, I told her the truth. Jesus. Jesus kept me going. When I was at my lowest, when I wanted to die, when my mind was breaking apart, I prayed, and he answered. Not by removing me from the situation, but by giving me the strength to endure it, by reminding me I wasn't alone. She smiled, a professional smile that said she didn't believe me but wouldn't argue. But I didn't need her to believe me. I knew the truth. I'd been in hell, literal, physical, mental hell, and God had been there with me. I'm back in Miami now, free, divorced. The marriage was annulled by international pressure. Faisal faced no real consequences, of course. Men like him never do. But his reputation is destroyed, and he knows the world is watching now. I still have nightmares. I wake up screaming, feeling them on my skin. I can't be in dark rooms. I can't handle unexpected touches. The trauma doesn't just disappear. But I'm healing. With therapy. With my family's love. And most importantly, with faith I never should have lost. I speak at churches now, at women's shelters, anywhere people will listen. I tell this story. And I always end the same way. Some of you are in your own dark room right now. Maybe not literal darkness, but you're trapped in something that feels impossible to escape. Abuse, addiction, depression, despair. You feel like you're surrounded by things crawling over you, eating away at your hope, your sanity, your will to live. You think you're too far gone, too broken, that you've walked too far from God for him to still care. I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. I forgot him for years. I chased wealth and fame and fairy tales. I only called on him when I was literally in hell. And you know what? He was still there, waiting, ready to pull me back from the edge. You're not too far gone. You're never too far gone. Even in a room with tens of thousands of cockroaches, in absolute darkness, losing your mind, God can still reach you. My name is Julia. I was a Saudi princess, locked in darkness for 10 days. But more importantly, I'm a daughter of the King of Kings, and his light shines even in the darkest places, even in rooms filled with horror, even when hope seems dead. He is still there. Don't give up. Don't let go. Because the same God who saved me from that room can save you from whatever darkness you're facing. I promise you, he's already reaching for you. You just have to reach back.